In this series of videos we're going to look at time planning. So the first video is going to look at time planning process, just an overview. So time management. So time planning is obviously the first thing that happens in the time management process. The idea of the time management processes is to complete the project by the agreed completion time. That includes determining what the agreed completion time is. So sometimes you'll have the agreed completion time set in the contract. So for a construction project, it'll say when the completion date is. But in other projects, say a design project or an alliancing project, one of the objectives of the time planning process is to determine how long it's going to take and what the completion date would reasonably be. So you can see that the time management processes include a lot of planning. The executing is actually part of the direct and managed project work. Remember, we looked at this in the previous videos about scope. So scope, time and cost are all managed as one package because they are so closely interlinked. You make a change to time, it's going to affect cost. You make a change to scope, it's going to affect cost and time, so on. So you can't really manage them as separate processes. So that's why that direct and managed project work covers scope, time and cost, the execution part of it when you're actually doing it. And then there's the monitoring and controlling process, which is controlling the schedule. In other words, looking at the schedule, saying, are we bringing it in on time? What can we do to sort of correct any overruns? So you're always looking at the schedule, always seeing if you can do things quicker, if you can overlap tasks. If you're running over time with tasks, you need to be identifying that. So that's what the control schedule is all about. But today we're looking at these ones in yellow, the planning. So let's look at those. But before we do that, let's just look at this. So the scope and time planning follows on from the scope planning. So you've done the scope planning, which we looked at in previous videos. You end up with a work breakdown structure. In other words, you're breaking the project down to a whole lot of work packages, and what we're doing now is we are determining the time, the resourcing required for each of those work packages, the sequence that they have to go in, and then from that developing the schedule, or otherwise known as the program for those work packages. So that's where we're going with the whole thing. So the time planning processes, 6 processes, but these first 2 here we're not really doing on this course. You may do it for bigger projects, but for our course we're not really doing these. I'll explain what they are, but just remember we're not really doing it. So the first one is plan the schedule management. That is what are the rules, how we're going to manage the schedule and stuff like that, and I'll talk about it in a minute. Define activities is break down those work packages into separate activities. Once again, I'll talk about that more later on. The next one is to sequence the activities, or sorry, that should be sequence work packages, and that's to identify and document the relationships between the work packages. Now, as I said, we're not working at the activity level, we're working at the work package level, so that should have read work packages. Estimate the resources. Estimate people, plant, materials required for each work package. And then estimate duration. So when if you've got those resources, how long is it going to take to do it? So you estimate how long each activity will take to complete, and then from that, along with other things, so you'll have inputs from quality, communications, risk, all those things, you'll be able to develop a schedule, also known as a program. Remember, that's in the Gantt chart type of format. Now, as I mentioned, we don't really do those first 2. So the plan, the schedule management is document how the schedule will be developed and controlled. And usually these are standard project processes and documents. The organization that you're working for has done this all before. It probably has in-house procedures that tell you how to do it, how to manage it, and you will also use time management things. You'll be using work packages from previous projects, and you'll be using programs from previous projects. So we don't really do this in a normal engineering project. For a bigger project, a really big one, then you may well do so. And now define activities. What they mean by define activities is you'll hopefully recognize this from previous videos. Here's the work breakdown structure, and the lowest level of the work breakdown structure is work packages. Each one, 1 to 2 weeks type work, a distinct package that can hand over. And what Pinbox suggests is that you should split those down even further into activities. So the curb and channel splits down into lay foundation, pour curb and channel, and all that sort of stuff. Now, in engineering projects that I've had, just the medium-sized engineering projects, really you're working at this work package level. You give the curb and channel work package to a foreman, and he's the one that's sort of going to break it down into the activities and do it all. But at the management level, at the project management level, you're really working at work package level, which is why I'm reluctant to use this one where I'm breaking it down even further. Other projects you may find that people break it down into activities and link all the activities. So for bigger, more complicated projects, they may well do that, but for most engineering projects you can probably get away with working at work package level. And so just looking at another look at that, define activities. This is in the outline format, and as I said, our work package is usually similar to previous projects. You have the project, that you have the resources defined, the activities, you're not doing anything special, the guys know what to do. So that's why I suggest we do work at the work package level. Now in the next video we're going to look at the processes, the processes that we actually do.